Now I'm going to go to the purchasing module. And before I can, the next logical step would be to receive the items in on the purchase order. One extra step that we have here that's important is to actually print the purchase order.
Okay.
Back to my favorites here. So here I'm going to print the PO to the vendor. So a similar format to what you saw with the quote, but now I'm working with the vendor instead of a customer, still using my logo. And I also use this purchase order as essentially a traveler when the material comes in, if you go pick up the material or the vendor ships the material to you, when you receive it in, you're going to have this PO there to go with the with the receipt, and you have all the reference information you need on the PO to know exactly where to take this uh, when it comes in. So I know that I'm using it on production order 85, and that production order is linked to a sales order number 510. So I know exactly what to do with it when it comes in. Okay. So now I'll do the receipt. I've got the PO number. Automatically pops up with the line items, and there is a checkbox here or a flag that I can indicate, yeah, I want to go ahead and receive exactly what I ordered. I've checked what's in the box or checked what's on the crate. It's what I needed, so I'm going to default the quantity, and I'm going to save that. And it's asking me, I've entered the receipt. If everything looks okay, are you sure you want to post this? I say yes. Let me post it. And anytime you execute a transaction that relates to items like this, you're going to get a posting list or a posting document. Okay, so we've now received the line item on the purchase order. The next step in the process is we want to go ahead and issue all of the material that is going to be used on this job. So I'm going to do something called a component issue. I'm working with the production order. Same production order for the wine storage build. And I'm going to say that I want to default the quantity being issued to the job to whatever was needed on the original bill of material. Now I'm doing all this together as one pass on the job just because we have a limited amount of time for the demonstration. But you can literally issue this material as you use it, assuming that you're going to have a long enough lead time that you may not issue all the material at the same time. If you physically want to synchronize the transactions in the system with what you're physically doing as you use the sheets, for example, or as you cut the molding, you can do the multiple component issue transactions so that you can go back over and look back on the order over time and see when you issued which material and how much you issued for. So in this case, I'm going to say I want to issue all the material. So that's done. There are labor steps that can be processed as well. So we can enter labor transactions. Remember, we had a routing where we defined the steps that were going to be taken. If you wanted to actually record people's time against those labor steps so you can keep track of how much time did people actually spend on those steps versus what was my estimate to help you kind of hone in on getting more accurate estimates over time, you can use these labor transactions to do that. So I'm going to pick an employee. I'll just pick Edith Combs. I can, assuming she's going to probably have some kind of a timesheet, I can have a date associated with that timesheet when she actually did the work. I have the date that it was done, the shift that she was working on, and let's just say she worked 4 hours during this set of transactions. And I'm going to say she worked on this production order 85. She worked on the sawing of the sheets. She didn't complete, when you look at what it's asking for in terms of completion, what it wants to know here is, did you complete the wine storage build? And in this case, we know we did not do that. So we're going to just say that we worked on this step for 2 hours. We did not complete the wine storage build in terms of units, but we can, if we want, indicate that what percentage we are as an operator, what percentage we think we're done with this step. So let's just say she's going to say I'm 10% done with that. And then she also worked on labor step 2, worked 2 hours on that. Again, didn't complete the step, but she finished, say, 20% of that. So I'm going to save those transactions. And then I can list those and post them. So here I see a sheet that shows a confirmation of the labor transactions that were entered. So I have the totals that match up with the detail that I saw on the screen, so everything looks good. And then I'm going to post those labor transactions. And then we have a posting document that's very similar to the listing, but this is actually one that posted those transactions to the routing on the production order. Oops. Done with that. So then the last step in the actual job itself is what's called a production receipt. And this is the final transaction where you're going to record the fact that the job is done. I've accumulated all of my costs. I've charged all the material. I've reported all the labor that I want to report. And now I just want to get this order completed so that it'll be ready and prepared for shipment to the customer. So I completed the 1 unit. See. Try that one more time. Okay. Looks like it liked it that time. Okay, so we've completed the production process of the job. And what we want to do now, let's just go look at a, a report that shows us what the job looks like in terms of cost, revenue, and profitability. Okay. I got shows me the sales order, the actual production order that it was made on. The I have an expected cost, $2,610. My actual cost was $1,140. So my cost was a lot less than what I originally expected. So it means I had a higher margin. And this is probably because we didn't report all the labor. We estimated the labor, but we didn't report it all. Um, I'm not sure. Let me see here. That did convert. We need to go back and look at some of the detail here because I know we saw a price of 5,370. I'm not sure why I have a calculated price of 2,500 here, but I can take a look at that. It may have something to do with that fixed price flag that I told you about. But here I see summary information at the top. If I had any purchase orders involved, it shows me what the purchase orders were. For the component items, I see what my price was to the customer and what my actual cost was. And then the same thing for the routings. You can see here that only the first two steps had actual costs because those are the only two that I reported time against. The other steps had expected costs, but since I didn't report any time against them, the actual is zero. So the idea here is to be able to use this report as the job is progressing to see that have I issued all the material that I was supposed to issue? Have I reported all the time? Are my costs accurately reflected? And ultimately, what's my margin on this individual job?